Today's sermon topic on this Pastoral Care Sunday was selected by longtime church member Gib Bruff. She was the winner of the Pick the Sermon Topic at our church's auction. Gib asked me to explore Leonard Cohen's song Anthem, and specifically these compelling lyrics. Ring the bells that still can ring, forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. This seems especially appropriate as the worship theme for the month is the practice of deep listening. So today we take a deep listen to the lyrics of Leonard Cohen. Allison will sing the song at the end of today's sermon, so even if you aren't familiar with it, by the end of this morning, you will hear it. I was raised by a perfectionist to be a perfectionist. My father was a good and decent person, but he was also the product of his time and of the circumstances in which he was raised. The scarcity of food and other necessities of daily life brought on by the Great Depression created in him a strong drive for stability and success. The pressure that was on my father as the first in his family to go to college created an expectation to excel. For him, perfection was the only option, and he extended that expectation to his children. As his son, perfection was my only option. In his eyes, an A- was not enough. It needed to be an A or it didn't count. It wasn't enough to be part of the debate team. If you didn't win, it was meaningless. The attempt to do anything was meaningless without the subsequent success. Perfection was the only way. And I can see a few folks nodding where that resonates. My dad mellowed with age and relaxed into a more tender, more understanding perspective. But not so much while I was growing up. In childhood, perfection is what gave worthiness. Worthiness was earned. My childhood had long ended when I stumbled onto Unitarian Universalism and the core belief that each individual person had inherent worthiness just by nature of being alive. Our worthiness wasn't earned. We didn't have to do something to get it. It wasn't a gift offered to a special few who excelled in a certain way. Unitarian Universalism teaches that each of us has inherent worthiness. We are loved just as we are. Now, even though most of us have room for improvement, even though most of us at some time are unskillful in word or action, we are loved just as we are. We are loved just as we are. It was in a Unitarian Universalist congregation that I first heard the opening lines of Mary Oliver's poem, Wild Geese. It was during a Sunday service when in the sermon, the minister quoted these words, "You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves." I burst into tears. Here was a poet. Here was a minister. Here was a religion telling me you do not have to be good. In other words, it's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to be just you. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. In other words, you are not a miserable sinner. You don't need to do anything to earn your worthiness. You don't need to get mired down in guilt and shame and self-criticism for being imperfect. But rather, you only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. In other words, you just need to be who you already are. Someone with a tender heart who yearns to offer love to others, who yearns to make the world a better place. You already know how to be kind and compassionate. You'll do it imperfectly, but do it anyway. Those few sentences of Mary Oliver blew my mind and opened my heart and forever changed my perspective. In good old religious language, those few sentences saved me. I was thinking about that experience as I listened this week to the song Anthem by Leonard Cohen, as I listened to these lyrics that Allison is going to sing in just a few minutes. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There's a crack. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. In other words, stop trying to do things perfectly. Do what you can. Yes, you have flaws, but your flaws are not your identity. Everything has flaws. When we accept that, yet still do something kind or liberating, when we ring those bells, light comes into us, hope comes into our heart once more. Singer and songwriter Leonard Cohen wrote these lyrics in 1992 for an album tellingly titled, The Future. The Future. The Future. Right now, we are thinking a lot about the future, aren't we? The future of democracy, the future of our planet, the future of Gaza, the future of Israel, the future of the Middle East, the future of Ukraine, the future of healthcare, the future of ever-present gun violence, the future with diminishing rights for women, the future being created by a radicalized Supreme Court, the future for trans and non-binary people, the future shaped by AI, the future our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren will inherit. As a friend said to me last week, thoughts about the future are keeping me up at night. Thoughts about the future stress me out, weigh me down, and tear me apart. Anybody here relate to that? Okay. Journalist Cassie Werber in the online newsletter Quark quotes these observations about the future from the late Leonard Cohen. Cohen said, quote, "The future is no excuse for an abdication of your own personal responsibilities towards yourself and your love. Ring the bells that still can ring. Maybe they're few and far between, but you can find them." This situation does not expect a solution of perfection. This is not a place where you make things perfect, neither in your marriage, nor your work, nor your love of God, nor your love of family or country. The thing is imperfect. Everything is imperfect. There is a crack in everything that you can put together. Physical objects, mental objects, constructions of any kind. But the cracks, that's where the light gets in, and that's where the resurrection is. It is with the confrontation with the brokenness of things. It is with the confrontation of the brokenness of things. And so many things feel broken right now, don't they? But these cracks, these flaws, are places where the light might get in. They're opportunities for the love to get in. They are how the connection to something bigger than ourself might get in. Sometimes things need to break down in order to be rebuilt into something new. Sometimes things need to break down, to break apart, in order to build something new. Think about those fears we have for the future. Those fears that keep my friend up at night, the fears that keep some of us up at night. Listen to how Leonard Cohen names them, names the fears, names what it feels like in our present reality. It's almost like he was here right now writing these words. As he writes, and as Allison will soon sing, the wars, they will be fought again. The holy dove, she will be caught again, bought and sold and bought again. The dove is never free. We asked for signs. The signs were sent. The birth betrayed. The marriage spent. Yeah, the widowhood of every government. The widowhood of every government, signs for all to see. I can run no more with the lawless crowd, while the killers in high places say their prayers out loud. Dear ones, I just think of the next mass shooting in a school, and they're all going to say, my thoughts and prayers are with them, while the killers in high places say their prayers out loud. But they've summoned up a thundercloud. And just when it all feels hopeless, Leonard Cohen zings us, reminds us that we are not helpless. And he writes, ring the bells that can still ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. I think of that crack in everything in the context of the reading that Ida shared earlier, the words by Howard Zinn. He writes, there is a tendency to think that what we see in the present moment will continue. We forget how often we have been astonished by the sudden crumbling of institutions, by extraordinary changes in people's thoughts, by unexpected eruptions of rebellion against tyrannies, by the quick collapse of systems of power that seemed invincible. What leaps out from the history of the past 100 years is its utter unpredictability. If we see only the worst, it destroys our capacity to do something. But if we remember those times and places, and there have been so many where people have behaved magnificently, this gives us the energy to act, and at least the possibility of sending this spinning top of the world in a different direction. And if we do act in however a small way, we don't have to wait for some grand utopian future. The future is an infinite succession of present moments. And to live now as we think human beings should live, in defiance of all that is bad around us, is itself a marvelous victory. To live now as we think human beings should live, in defiance of all that is bad around us, is itself a marvelous victory. I love that, a marvelous victory. As Unitarian Universalists, we are called to live now with strength and tenderness, with compassion and empathy, with kindness and awareness, with realism and dreams, with creativity and so much flexibility, with all our worthiness and all our imperfection. We are called to live now in community with hearts wide open. As Leonard Cohen declares, every heart to love will come. Will you say that with me, please? Every heart to love will come. And let's continue. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Dear ones, may we remember, even if things do crack wide open, that's how the love gets in. That's how the light gets in. Que así sea. Bendito sea. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.